Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space, a Michelle Amir podcast. Always excited about coming forward, y'all. Always look forward to adding another thought provoking video to my library of content. Super excited about today's conversation. I was thinking today, I know some of you guys saw me earlier when I came on and I gave a brief disclaimer about the hair situation and about my plans for our conversation this evening. And I'm going to speak on angels, demons, many of the spirits that inhabit this realm. I saw something on social media that provoked me to bring this forward. I've already spoken to this, so it's not like I'm mimicking anything or that I am bringing up something new. If you look at some of my initial communications, I spoke to this early on in my in my walk on this channel, whichever app you find me on. It's a very intriguing conversation when we get to speaking on the spiritual realm. When we go outside of just the general concept, of the children of the Hebraic house and their walk in life and the God of this house. When we go beyond that and we began to examine the many spirits that were plaguing these people and that plague us today. Let's keep it a buck. Many of these spirits that plague us today that we interact with at different levels. You know, the slogan, new level, new devil is real. That's a reality. But many don't shine a light on them. Many don't look to examine that portion of our existence. And I'd like to begin having commentary surrounding that so that we get the most of that dynamic, because I believe that is the dynamic that is fueling the majority of our problems. It is. We know that in the Bible, when we look at God moving these children throughout their walk after leaving out of Egypt, even prior to Egypt, before God makes the contract, the promise to Abraham or even to Noah, we see glimpses of what is going on when these entities have dominion and it's not checked. Things always seem to get out of hand. They always seem to go in one direction, and it's usually not to the benefit of man, the sons and daughters of Adam. Yet, we never get anywhere in this Bible where we really have a bird's eye view as to what is going on within this realm, within the spiritual realm, whether we're dealing with angels or whether we're dealing with demons or whether we're dealing with jinn. We really never get a full understanding of what exactly that's like. How do they move? What do they look like? I mean, you know, in the book of Ezekiel does go into detail as to the characteristics of the angels. But what about the demons? In the Testament of Solomon, in the Apocrypha, Solomon does go into detail of these demons and their personality types, and it can become boring after a while if you read it long enough. I mean, it's dialogue over dialogue, content upon content, explaining to you his interactions with these demons. And once you've gotten the fundamental grasp of it, that these demons are like armies, they're innumerable. You can't number them. It's like numbering atoms. Little molecular, invisible forces that create matter. number them. You'd be better off trying to do like God told Abraham to do, go out there and number the stars. At least that's more entertaining. That's more within your grasp. With the naked eye, how do you number atoms? Without having some sort of tool, without having some sort of assistance. You can't. It's the same way within the demonic realm. It's a vast realm, friend. Many of the attributes that take hold of us in this life are of the demonic realm. Many of us say, I'm not a wicked person. I'm a good person. I live righteously. I do right by people and this and that. But friend, if you've ever been jealous, if you've ever had anger, resentment, and malice in your heart for someone else, if you harbor unresolved issues, all of these are demons. They're spirits that invoke a feeling in you. They drive you in a particular direction to act. And usually they'll drive you in a particular direction to act in a way that is out of alignment to the will of your creation. They force you to justify doing things that harm you. They may not harm you at the time, they seem justifiable. But they're not. That's the magic of these demons. They'll cloak themselves in justifiable ways, such as fear. If fear comes upon you and the feeling is strong enough, friend, you will justify doing something that you know you should not do. You'll justify behaving in a manner that is totally contradictory to who you are. All from demons. When we look at the Apocrypha and we see in the book of Enoch, one of the best books of the Apocrypha as it relates to understanding the heavenly realms and the demonic realm. It gives you a bird's eye view of these angels, how they were created, in what manner they were created, what their dominion is, how they behave in the heavenly realms, the cadence of those in the heavenly realm, and how they all interact with one another, the expectation, the foundational levels of knowledge that they all have. All of that is outlined in the book of Enoch. God says in the book of Enoch, the way that he formed this creation was that the angels were formed first. And the fire in which they were birthed from, the way that God forged it was through friction, through pressure, and through friction, hard rock rubbing against one another. Think of hitting hard rock with something, striking it, and that spark, that flame that comes from it. That's what they were created from. That's the fire. That is the spirit that the fire in which they were created manifested from. Then we get to this area where we come to find that there are other beings in this realm. There are other beings outside of these messengers, these angels, but they're messengers as well. Seems to me that angels are messengers. They are. And that there are levels to these messengers. There's a diversity to them. They're all not the same. We see this in the book of Ezekiel when Ezekiel has the vision and he sees these angels and how they're broken up and what the visualization of them is. We see this with Satan. God says Satan was an angel, a high-ranking angel, beautiful. made from smokeless fire. Could this angel, which is Satan, be? Is this the same angel that the book of Enoch is referencing when it speaks to the angel being birthed from friction? From the rubbing together and the striking of hard rock? Is that smokeless fire? In some spiritual systems, they say Satan was a jinn. A jinn. In the Islamic system, Satan is a jinn. He's made from smokeless fire. Another category of angels, which supports what I'm saying, that the angelic realm is a very diverse realm. It's not just one type of angel. The story goes that the jinn were pervasive on the face of the earth before man. Before God decided to create Adam and Eve, the jinn were the first prototype, I guess you could call it that, the first creation. And they, like man, couldn't get it together, y'all. Couldn't get it together. They had the same types of problems somewhat. The jinn family of beings are very similar to humans. They live in the invisible realm because of what God did in changing the structure of things. But they have families. They live long times. They're similar to us, except for their longevity, their lifespan hasn't been shortened as ours has. Yet the trade-off is that they live in the invisible. They have no form unless they adopt one. Satan, they say, was a jinn. He was beautiful. And while his constituents, his brethren, were living outside of the law and the commandment of God, he decided that he would live within the commandment of God. He would be that one entity to do so. And because of that, God would exalt him. Would exalt him to the heavenly abode. And God would change all of his family of being, all of his brethren, and those that were still on earth. He would change their status from living on the face of the earth to living in the water. Satan is somewhat taken up into the heavenly realms like Enoch. He gets to go into the heavenly realms separate from his brethren here on earth because of his good deeds, his righteous heart. I know that it is said that he was taken into the heavenly abode and he was a beautiful angel in the heavenly abode. Different, but somewhat the same as all the other angels. That's why it's so significant to his beauty. He was different because he was of a different class of angelic beings. Meaning, he suffered the same struggles that Enoch suffered when he went into the heavenly abode. They did not want Enoch in the heavenly abode, friend. They didn't want anything to do with humans because of the resume of the humans on this planet. So it's fair to say that they didn't want nothing to do with Satan either. He's the first. But he does brilliantly. He rises in rank, proves himself, is a beloved angel before God, God's favorite. And then God says, time has come. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to create another individual. I'm going to create Adam. And I am going to have all of you honor Adam. I'm going to give Adam different characteristics from you, some greater, some lesser initially, but Adam will be able to grow into his strength. He will have all the power he needs if he obeys my voice. If he stays close and does exactly as I command him, he won't have any obstacles really. If he follows the program that I have embedded in him, he will bypass all the obstacles that I've seen, all the prototypes that I've created before him struggle with. All the things that made me put all of Adam's predecessors on the shelf. I have examined the root of the problems that they faced. And now I have come up with a new idea to perfect my creation, and I will do it through Adam. And Satan was furious. The first spirit that came upon Satan and met him, bowed to him, or he to it, to have its way, was fear. He became afraid. He feared going from God's beloved to being shelved like all of his brethren and his sisterin here on earth. He feared not being acknowledged. He feared losing rank. When Satan was exalted, he went from a mere jinn, a mere entity on this planet, even though they were powerful, and still are. He understood the love of God, how being separated and adored, being the one that was different, would cover you. And he began to rely only on that. He distanced himself from the nature of himself. He became exalted and situated in the exalted nature that God gave him just from his attention. And he began to think, I'm beautiful. I'm different. I'm God's beloved. I refuse to acknowledge Adam. Adam is ignorant. Adam hasn't tried as hard as I have. Adam hasn't faced the challenges I faced. I refuse to help Adam. Follow me. This is the spirit that led him. Fear and jealousy. So he creates all of these ideas and he passes all of these ideas on amongst people that respected him. People that he came into knowing of through his exalted state that God allowed him to experience. He's in front of a new choir, a new congregation, a new group of people, highly intelligent. No longer are they quarreling over small things like those that were here on earth were. He's now amongst peers, people in which he could look up to, people that honor and respect him for the truth of his work. They can see the truth of his experiences. And he can see the truth of them. As God said as the angel told Enoch, in the heavenly realms, we don't speak to the weakness of things. This is a heightened level of consciousness. This is excellence. Not just excellence, this is excellence for real. Line by line. And Satan is seated amongst these people. Yet God is going to create a new being. He's not innately of this realm. He's been graduated from earth to there. He's gone from the worst place to the best place. Those in the heavenly realm, from what I gather in the book of Enoch and in the Apocrypha, don't honor earth, y'all. We've been in the darkness a long time. It's like we've been flunking kindergarten. Not even the first grade. We've been flunking kindergarten many times. So even though Satan has been exalted from earth to the heavenly realms and given dominion in the realms and earned it, it's highly intelligent. He still has that stain on his name. No matter what he does to overcome that, it's always there lingering in the background. And even though he would exalt himself through activity, through overcoming and gaining knowledge and wisdom, it would be cloaked under all of his successes. Yet when God says, I'm going to create another being on the earth, everybody's antenna goes up. And then they begin to realize, okay, who's on earth? Oh, Satan's kind. They're down there now. Wonder what God's going to do about Satan. He's quickly reminded that he's a different type of angel. Different type of messenger. And where does this land in his lot? How does this affect him? So he plots to be Adam's nemesis. That's the role he plays. He's wise enough to know every angle to utilize in being effective in it. He knows this realm better than Adam. He was here first. Even though God comes and he speaks to Adam and he teaches Adam all the things of this realm, the Apocrypha says it in the book of Enoch. I don't need to go and read it because I'll get lost in reading. I've read it. Check out my past podcasts or stick around. If you want to read it verbatim, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th book of Enoch. It's all here. God shows Adam everything, one-on-one. Sun, moon, stars. Tells him the stars that are his. All these different things. But I don't want to get on that. I wanted to introduce you to how Satan came about and of what line of messengers Satan belongs to. He's of smokeless fire. The only messengers, the only entities on this realm that were created of smokeless fire were the jinn. Grab a Quran, look into it. Iblis. Yet there are other types of angels. It seems that there's a hierarchy in the system of angels, and they all look different. Yet they're all messengers. You and I could be considered angels. You know how your grandmother would say, be an angel and go get Granny a cup of water. Be an angel and go run to the store and get a new messenger. Be an angel and go tell Miss such and such to do such and such. An angel. All with specific duties and characteristics. And it seems to me that there was something that has happened that at one time this angelic realm, this realm of messengers, not even say angels, let's say realm of messengers, they're broken down in ranks, and this ranking was to serve Adam. Even though Satan was a nemesis, his goal, his mandate was to serve Adam. It wasn't his creation to serve Adam because he was created before Adam. But because his kind of messenger didn't work out. They went formless and into the water. Yet, they are still conscious. They still exist. They have whole kingdoms that we know nothing of. They know the science of us, our structure, how we are set up. Yet in our fullness, we outrank them. When the fallen angels, when the angels that were of a different structure came, excuse me, and they fell from heaven. And they decided that they would mate amongst women. Their bloodline is cut off. First of all, I saw this on social media. I want to speak to it. How would these angels mate amongst women? If when they mate, they create giants, how are they mating? They're mating by way of the sciences that they taught the people. When you look at ancient Kemet, when you look at mainly in Egypt, you'll see written on the walls there a science, a science in conceiving, a science in capturing light by way of sexual intercourse. Yeah. You see, in ancient times, you weren't, a powerful woman just because you look cute. Friend, there was a whole lot of that. It was a lot of cuteness and all that kind of stuff. So that really wasn't it. You were a powerful woman by way of your spiritual rank. Yeah. By way of the spirits that knew you and that bowed to you. Because you can have spirits to know you and you hold no power amongst them. They know you're, someone to not pay any attention to. To be known is not always a good thing. It's not. What are you known for? In ancient times, one thing these fallen ones taught the women and what made them so useful to these fallen beings was their ability through sexual intercourse to be pleasing, definitely that, appealing, definitely that, how to beautify, definitely that, and also how to capture light in the womb. So that when they mated with these beings, they weren't just mating with these beings. They were mating with these beings and they were capturing light. They were capturing the movement of energy throughout the solar system. If I'm saying that in a way that you can understand it. They were multifaceted actions in mind that they were doing, using the body as the vessel, with one intention, and that is capturing a particular spirit so that it will be birthed into this realm. This is what made her so important. She wasn't just birthing children of these fallen angels. She was the vessel for everything to come through. And the woman that can do it, because there were no do-overs a lot of times. A lot of times these planetary alignments would happen once in 100 years or once in 30 years and things like that. They were very important. And this is why you would see these houses that they had in ancient times where all these women were coagulated and they were having sexual relations with people. They weren't just in there doing that because it was fun and they wanted to go drink and party. Surely there was that going on too, because there's always going to be debauchery. But at its heightened intention, you would have multiple women in rooms doing such things at certain times to capture light. The Pharaoh or the king, let's just say that, would choose a particular woman that had that was learnt in the art of how to do such. That would not even learn, that's not correct. That was aligned in a way, energetically, that did not have any blockages energetically that would stop such light from being captured in her womb. And these were the women that were highly regarded, prized, like prized. So, yeah. So when we see that we call the fallen angels coming and then they're mating amongst the women and they created giants, surely it was that too. It was that definitely. But it was a lot of other spirits on this planet. There are different ranks of angels. We know that. There are different types of angels. And all of them are not wicked. What makes the fallen so unique, what makes Satan so unique, and all of them are structured the same. All of them have this in common. They are all the heads of many. Goes back to what King Solomon established in the Testament of Solomon when he's telling you the structure of the demonic kingdom. Seems like this demonic kingdom is set up in a way that mimics the angelic kingdom. Heads of many. And wherever the head goes, the body must follow. So when you wonder, well, why is Satan's kingdom never divided? Why are they always on the same accord? Because they're bound. When those that came and coagulated on Mount Hermon did so, they bound themselves upon mutual imprecations. They did the same thing that God did to those that were beneath them. They don't have anything outside of what they've known of God. God said, I'm going to make you a head of 100, 200. Okay, great. They must follow you. They don't have a choice. They don't have free will. They got to follow you. I'm going to bind them upon a particular imprecation, a contract, a covenant, it could be a word, it could be a symbol. They're bound to that. That is their creation. They don't have a choice. Going against that is going against their life. The 200 would take on this idea. They would know firsthand the power of such things. They were the heads of all of these people beneath them that were bound to such things. But they were bound to such things in a holy way initially because God created it that way for them. And in them looking to, this is where they get the verbiage of they wanted to be God. I don't know if they intentionally wanted to be God or inadvertently, subconsciously, they were trying to be God. They were looking to have a level of freedom they didn't have in the heavenly realms. They were looking to have it here on earth. And they said, we're going to bind one another upon mutual imprecations. So I bind you, you bind me, you bind Jim, Jim binds you, Jim binds Tom, Tom binds Jim. You got all kind of binding. It's just a mess. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Friend, what a tangled web. That's a tangled web. One group of angels fallen, a particular type. We see in the book of Revelation another, the dragon. Is this the only dragon? Couldn't be. You go to Asia, you see all kinds of dragons, friend. Families of them. It's kind of like humans, like us. You got some humans, some men, women, that are very good, loving people. You got some that are not. It's the same way. And it will be the same way with the jinn and the rest of these beings that have materialized into this realm. When God got wind of what happened, God closed all the portals. Portals. What portals were they talking to? Surely they have portals in the air. They have portals through women. A woman is a portal. She is the only portal of this realm. She's the main portal. She cannot be replaced. You replace her, you replace yourself. God closed the portals. Nonetheless, what we find is that there are a diversity as it relates to these messengers. I really want you to get that. It's not just one way. It's not one type. And even those that are bound to the demonic realm, or bound to the, let's just say, the formless realm, they are all not the same type of being, friend. You've got all kinds by way of the portal that they were birthed and the methods that they use to do such. You got some portals that were of women. You have some portals that were of slime pits. Yeah, they were putting beings in pits and allowing gestation to happen in the pit. Yet God would flood it. God would undo it. And they would go into the unseen realm. They would still be conscious. They're still conscientious of themselves and this environment. They just don't have a body, a host. And what was created for Adam to dominate has now dominated Adam. It dominates Adam. Friend, I don't care if Adam is white, black, or all points in between. They're dominating Adam. I don't care if he's an advanced scientist studying nuclear physics. I don't care if he's an advanced mathematician. I don't care if he's an advanced theologian. I don't care if he's an advanced shaman, witch. They're dominating, Fred. They're dominating. Yet God says that you align to the law of your creation. You pay attention and act upon the things that matter in your life. They don't have no power, friend. They cannot go before God regarding you. They need you to buy in. They need you to agree. Why do you think they made such comforts? Listen to this. Do you not think that this planet is a comfortable planet just without anything? Seems that we've complicated things, don't it? Like, if we think about it, if God had his way, and if we align to the way that God initially set this thing up, we'd all be out camping, kicking it, doing it however we want, living in bliss, treating each other right, trusting one another, partaking of all of the abundance of this garden, loving our animals, farming, drinking pristine, clean water, watching the sunrise, laying up with one another, watching the sunset, watching our children and our grandchildren grow. That's the creation of this place. Yet in order for someone else to make themselves relevant, they would need to superimpose something on top of that, looking to be God. And they will create systems and tell you that that original system that God gave Noah and his descendants after the flood, and they get off of that boat and there's not an enemy in sight. I want you to sit and think about that. I want you to sit and think, no matter where you were on this planet, jungles of the rainforest, the bush in Africa, the mountainous areas of America, no matter where you were, you could walk it freely and know that there was not an enemy. For sure, you knew that your God had eradicated all of your enemies. You were on the boat. Nobody knows better than you, friend, what happened. And after a year, the water submerged enough for you to get off the boat. Surely there were many places that were still flooded, but the areas you were on were high land. Had to been. And you know for sure there is no enemy here. I can lay out at night under a fire and not worry about a bear or anything coming because of the fire or the smell of food, and look at the beauty of the sky. God said Noah and his descendants lived so long. Goodness, friend. And you fast forward to this mess of an existence that we have agreed to. Everything is for sale. You got to buy water, an apple. It's not even real. A plum, it ain't even a real plum. All to get you to depend. Buy in. Need me. And even then, God says, okay, fine. I created a brilliant mind in you. You will create. I understand that. Fine. But what happened to your sovereignty? Just as it relates to everyday stuff, just decision making. What happened to that? When we look at the book of Enoch, and Enoch is speaking to these fallen angels, they were so glad that they had Enoch, friend. Without Enoch, they wouldn't even know where they stood. Follow me here. Without Enoch, they would not have any point of reference to punishment, to terms of the situation. They would be oblivious completely. All they would know is that they are in deep, deep, deep trouble. They needed Enoch deeply. Everything depended on Enoch. They wrote up a petition. When you look at certain books like the Goetia, the Greater or Lesser Keys of Solomon, all these different books, you find that in order to tap into that magical system, you got to wear a costume. You got to put on this robe, and you got to stand in this place, and you got to carve out this area, and you got to say all of these words. And you can't just say the words like, read it like you're reading, and these things the Lord appointed over 7. You can't read it like that. You've got to read it like you're talking, like I'm talking to you, like I'm just going off the top of my head with it. I have to read it as if I mean it, as coming organically from me, as if I have dominion, as if I'm fluid with that type of dialogue, as if I'm fluid with that type of request. That's what it says. You don't want to pronounce words because it's in Hebrew. So you want to enunciate the word in the proper tone, because the spirit that's listening is weighing your intention. They want to know, are you qualified to speak to me? They think that you are the group of people that was granted this science. The Lesser and Greater Keys of Solomon, all the Goetic books are basically books that show you how to tap into Solomonic magical systems. The stuff that God gave King Solomon to bind these demons by, to control them, so that they could do the work for Solomon in building the kingdom of God. Many people say that's how the Great Pyramid was created and all of these different structures you see all across the world. They say that these demons did it. And God ordained it. And this is why when you read these Goetic books and anything associated with it, this is the only system we have on the planet that gives you this knowledge. Anyone using the knowledge of such a system got it from Solomon. And this is what justified it. It was of the Hebraic house. It's the system, the magical system of the Hebrews. But before you enter into any activity associated with it, you've got to somewhat purge yourself. How do you do that? You declare things. They have them all written down in some of the books, how you declare things. I have not, I will not, I did not, all this kind of stuff. Purging yourself. Creating a vocal tone, a force field around yourself. Putting you in a state of mind to then, after you've done such, to take it a step further and begin commanding. Acting as if you are of that house. You've cleaned yourself. You've taken a verbal bath. And now you are entering into the circle to command and to have dialogue as if you are granted the authority to do so. How do you get the authority? By the lineage. It is a lineage thing. It is a thing that God granted to the Hebraic house through Solomon. And this is why they make you put on the right outfit and they make you say it in a certain way. And this, because these people of this house spoke in this way. They enunciated. They spoke in different tones to inflect power when speaking certain words. All of it is a science. And these are the people that these fallen will come amongst. Search out. Find one that is worthy and position him as a resource to take their position, their petition, and speak it before God. Enoch, Hebrew. They needed Enoch. It wasn't a pastime. Even though they wanted to ride up like, yeah. We know God better than you. God, we ain't worried about God. We're not worried about God. Where's Enoch? Tell Enoch we need to see him. Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do want to see him. Fallen angels. Spiritual beings. When we speak to Satan and have Satan having power and having authority in hell and all this, where does it say that? I want somebody to show me that. I can't seem to find it. Maybe it's written in the Apocrypha. Because in the Bible, I haven't seen it anywhere. And in the Apocrypha, I have not seen it. Satan don't have no power nowhere, friend. Not even in earth. Surely he has some form of authority, but so does Adam. He don't have no greater authority than Adam. As a matter of fact, Adam has more authority than him. He cannot go before God and say anything about anybody. Friend, he's in a vulnerable position. He was cast out. He's supposed to be in the water. Those that he is of were put on the shelf, demoted. You need to know your position in things. God hasn't created any of us to be sitting ducks, to be taken advantage of, and to be berated or led astray by Satan or any of the other spirits that inhabit this realm. God says, I need you to lean in on my word. Whether you find it in the Quran, whether you find it in Christianity, whether you find it in Judaism, whether you find it in wherever you find it, I need you to lean in on my word. Sure, there's been people that rewrote it, but my word is so perfect that you will find me in it. I don't care if they rewrite it 1,000,000 times. They can never write me out of it. That's how powerful my word is. Because the word that I have within any of the books that you will find of me or those that are of me will coalesce with the word that I spoke over your life. And nobody can undo the word that I spoke over your life. And here's this. When you walk the path and you do the work, I will meet you right there. I will cover you. I will make your enemy my enemy. If one of my children attack me, I must lay down one of my children. Tough love. Learning curve. My child will learn me. My child will learn what not to do. And I will be the teacher in love. It is not your creation to be taken advantage of by rogue entities or people possessed by such. It's not. We are in a season where God is moving so powerfully, friend. Whatever dart or arrow you throw must meet you. It must repel and go back with more power and fire on it. This is the truth. This is the season that God is saying, my love is not weak. To openly love me and to openly walk with me does not make you a target for attack. The lake of fire was meant for the devils and all of those that they are responsible for. But because many have been led astray, many must pass through it to be purged. Don't let it be you. What a shame. What a shame. Let me see if I had touched upon all my little talking points. I think I have, just for today. I came forward to give you an understanding of devils, demons, angels, and messengers. There's a multitude of spirits that inhabit this realm. Multitude. And all of them are not bad, and all of them are not good. Yet, when you align to the power of God within you and you honor the law of your creation, which is the law of your heart, you do the things that feel righteous. You go the extra mile because you know it will rest well with you. When you do these things, you don't need to be worried about who's who and what's what. It's not your job. Do your job and let God do his. That's the word. Because at the end of the day, everybody has a boss, friend. Everybody has a boss. And just as the fallen ones needed a word from Enoch, that's why they wrote out that petition. And they said, go and give this on our account. We all need a word. And we all scout and have our antennas up, searching the different verticals of this life and entertaining one another in the hopes of getting that word. Let that be the desire of your heart. There's no shame, there's no fear in that. There's nothing but righteousness in that. If you want something, want that. These fallen have gone to elaborate lengths to get a word. And they have purged many, created an atmosphere for many that they face themselves, take their lives seriously, to be able to get a word. At the end of the day, where's the wrong at in that? Friend. It's my word for you today. That's the way that the Spirit moves. It won't let you make somebody bad. It just won't. There's no victimization ever. Friend, You'll be like Elijah, sitting at the river, at the brook. On one hand, he could be mad, man, I'm out here and at this river. I ain't got no food. I'm eating what the ravens bring me. But you're so focused on why you're there, and God has you so covered that in moment to moment, you're not resentful. You're busy experiencing. Nothing can take you out of that. Whether it's, I see the beauty of my environment. Look at that squirrel over there. Or look at that deer. Or look how beautiful the water is trickling down these rocks. Yeah, I sure wish I had such and such cooking for me and such and such. You'll do that. But as far as that feeling of just wasting your time in that negative space, you won't. Friend. And then the river dries up. And then God says, get up. I need you to go over here and do this. And now you're excited. It's exciting. It's exciting. It makes life exciting. I know that sounds crazy. I'm just keeping it a buck. And no fallen one can ever do such. They don't have it. They don't. The most they can do is layer more problems. That's all they can do. And in that, they are condemned. It is only when they relinquish that the clouds part and the sun comes out for them. And I can't even say that it's the fallen that should relinquish that. I'm not even able to say it's them. At this stage in the game, the sons of Adam have been programmed. Yeah. They've taken on a life of their own in the whole scheme of things. What they used to need to be coerced to do, and that they would hide and shame and fear of judgment from one another to do, they no longer do that. They've been programmed. They're so boggled down with debts that they really hope that this is it. They hope that this is it, that there is nothing beyond this. Thank you, friend. And what a shame. You come with a word of encouragement to them, and they just can't stand to hear it. It does something to them that they themselves do not understand. Yet the one that God sends amongst them will be covered so heavily, friend, by the force that God will put upon them. that they will not even have within them the ability to be resentful. There's no resentment. There's nothing but gains. Where do you get such gains from? How else could you get such a gain? Like how wonderful that of God to think of me in such a way. To care so much about me in my little old life. In this huge world of people. A little black girl like me. Or a little Latino girl like you. Or a little white girl like you. Or a little whatever. To sit me in the midst of such strangeness. As a voyeur, yet an active participant. Knowing the least, yet knowing abundantly. How loving is that? How generous and loving is that? That the creator of all of this, or even his angel, or even he sent an angel, had to have been a mighty angel friend. You talking about mighty friend. That won't let me go. That's Elijah. That's many of you. That's us. So you just keep going. You hang in there. And you put your best foot forward. And you chastise yourself. You critique yourself. You hold your own self in judgment daily. Because if your creator could think so highly of you, there must be something in you worthy of such attention. So why not show it off? Not in a flamboyant way, not in a look at me, but in an internal redirect your attention inward way. How can I show myself in the best disciplined way? I need discipline. How can I really discipline myself? I really need to get a perspective of God. How can I deepen my perspective of God? Not so you can show off and be, oh yeah, I'm the greatest. No, so that you can be effective. So that you deliver. So that you make your father and your mother and all of those that are so proud of you and that see you proud. So that you do them a solid. That part. That's the part, friend. Because like I said, we're at the end of a thing. Chapter 10, chapter 10 of Luke. Verse 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers unto his harvest. chosen. I used to say, chosen for what? What exactly am I chosen? What? I used to say that. But it seems as if anything that I ask, I'm given. So I was given through activity and explanation. Not in the way that I would have expected it to unfold, but it is an explanation. Verse 16. He that heareth you, heareth me, and he that despiseth you, despiseth me. And he that despiseth me, despiseth him that sent me. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. They're remembering. We are on a journey of remembrance. Not to remember every word of this book, but to tap into the wisdom that this book is conveying and remember your truth. Friend, remember your truth. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Friend, you guys, you must keep going. Once they remembered and they were excited and full of joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. Once they confessed, goes back to what I said about the book, the Goetic books, confessing, cleansing yourself with vocal tone mixed with intention and feeling and truth. Cleansing yourself. You have rid yourself. Friend, you've got to forgive yourself. If I can tell you nothing as your entrance into your tomorrow, you must forgive yourself. It's such a powerful thing. Forgiveness. Before you can forgive anybody else, you've got to pinpoint what burdens you're holding on to. And you've got to forgive you. Many people ask those of us that have overcome tremendous obstacles how we've done it. How? Because we faced ourselves. Literally sat down on the floor, sobbing and weeping and facing all of the traumas that have compiled themselves upon us in our lives. We got to face ourselves. And in doing so, we overcome. These people said, I remember my ranking. This truth rests well with me. I don't just believe that. I know that deep within me, this is truthful. That even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And immediately after that, what happens? Jesus says unto them, behold. Immediately after that, Jesus said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. It caused change. Them coming into the knowing of such immediately caused change. Either Jesus is saying that he in a vision immediately saw that, or it's just like you and I having a conversation somewhere and you tell me something that connects with me at the heart. Something that I didn't expect you to say, or that I knew you could possibly know about, but I didn't know maybe if you did or didn't, but that held significant weight. And you say it to me, a truth that immediately connects and locks you and I together in a stasis. And I immediately share with you a truth. I'm going to read it to you. The 70 come and say, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And I say, friend, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. I've given you a word that you didn't have before. I've given you more of knowledge that I have within me that unlocks information in you. It will act as a cornerstone in your faith. That I didn't know if you were deserving of knowing. But just by you declaring that, now I'm able to freely acknowledge a truth that I already know and I already saw. Friend, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. That's how Jesus said it. Tangible proof. This is not a hypothesis. This ain't a hypothetical. This is not theory. This is not a parable. Jesus speaks in parables all throughout. But in this one, he's telling you raw, dynamic action going on that you can utilize. He goes from parable to earth facts. Behold, I give unto you power. He's speaking and declaring. He follows it up with power, verbs. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means will hurt you. Friend, yo, you got to know. You got to know. Not believe. You got to know. And knowing is half the battle. This is it. I'm tired. 8:25. I've been on 2 hours and 25 minutes. I got to go. I love y'all. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.